Hello guys, so in my last video I let you guys know that I would make a separate video about the acts of violence carried out against me and some of the other blacklisting tactics used against me, specifically by the Florida bar and the legal field. So I mentioned that I filed a lawsuit against the complex that I'm currently living in for breach of contract and violation of the Landlord and Tenant Act. Now, with the acts of violence carried out against me, I didn't request a dollar amount because I don't want to communicate the message that the harassers can violate my privacy and my body and then repay me with money. So with that, I didn't request a dollar amount. So the same tactics used in the counterintelligence program that I mentioned in the last video are still being used today. They're used not just by law enforcement officers, but by government officials and private entities recruited by them to participate in the harassment. So with the gaslighting tactic, this is a tactic that's meant to drive the target to insanity. And when that doesn't work, the harassers use other methods or technology in order to drive the target to insanity. So the purpose of gaslighting is to cause the person to doubt their memory or perception of what's happening to them. And the harassers communicate messages in order to do this. So for example, they'll come into my apartment and they'll steal certain items and then put them back. So the items that they steal are undergarments, and with certain undergarments, they'll come in and cut them up and they'll steal power cords. So they are communicating a message of death relating to these items because power cords keep things running. So this is the same tactic used back then, telling the target that they should commit suicide or that they would be killed by the harasser. Now with the acts of violence that are carried out against me, these are carried out against me while I'm sleeping. That may be difficult to believe, but that is the case. And unfortunately, law enforcement is aware of and has knowledge of who is committing these crimes against me, and they are actually participating and refusing to do their jobs. So in January of this year, I installed security cameras, and I want to say later that month in January, I found my bra cut up in pieces. Now the brand of this bra was Warner. So the significance of this relates to what occurred a year earlier. So last year, January, on the 19th, I woke up in the hospital, and when I woke up, the nurse asked me if I knew why I was there, and when I told her no, she told me that I was involved in a car accident on January 15th. So she told me that I'd been in the hospital since January 15th, but I was unconscious for that period of time, that I had a broken leg among other injuries, and that I had to have a blood transfusion. Now, I have no memory of this accident other than waking up in the hospital. But when I was discharged on January 23rd, the clothes that I was wearing during the accident were given to me in a plastic bag. These clothes were cut in half, and that includes the bra that I was wearing. The brand of this bra was a Warner bra, the same brand that I found cut up this year. So when I found the bra cut up this year, I understood the message that the harassers was trying to communicate. And the organizers of the harassment are very deceitful. So they'll tell the people that are participating in the harassment that they are participating for one reason, or that their actions have one meaning, but the reality is that there is a different intent behind what they are trying to communicate to the person being targeted. So the nurse, when I was discharged from the hospital, she tried to force me to leave the hospital in my nightgown. Now, my leg was broken, so I was in a wheelchair, and she tried to paint the picture that I didn't want to leave the hospital. So she told the security guards. She called security and told them that I didn't want to be discharged and that they needed to remove me. But the reality is that they cut my clothes in half and I had to wait for someone to bring the clothes.
The person that's here, someone is going to go downstairs and get your belongings. They're going to get one of your outfits so you can get dressed, and from that you have to be discharged.
I mean, that's fine. That's all I wanted, and that's exactly what she knew.
So in the meantime, do you mind gathering up your belongings? So
That's all I have. Those are my belongings, literally.
so
You want a new bag to put that in?
I mean, you can get a new bag, but everything is cut. So what's the purpose?
so you don't want it. You want to trash it.
We can
I
trash it
mean,
for her.
No, she has to
you
trash
can
it. 'Cause it's her room.
you guys can get a new bag. I mean, it's not a problem.
So the organizers of the harassment are very deceitful in the messages that they say that they are communicating, but the reality is that when I found my bra cut up in pieces, I understood the message that the organizers of the harassment were trying to communicate, and that was that these things will continue to happen to me, that I will continue to be assaulted and have no memory or knowledge of who's carrying out these crimes against me. So when I found this Warner bra cut up in pieces, I called 911 again because I knew the message that the organizers of the harassment was trying to communicate. And two deputies from the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office responded. And one of them, when they came, asked me to show him where I found the bra. And when I showed him where I found one of the pieces, we walked back to where my desk was, and he picked up one of the pieces, put it back down on the desk, and started looking at my calendar. So again, his actions were confirmation of the message or the messages that the organizers of the harassment try to communicate by cutting up my bra and stealing my power cords. So I live alone, and my apartment complex is aware that no one has permission or authorization to enter my apartment. So I'm going to say 2 weeks after moving in, I received the notice of a routine inspection. And when the manager arrived, she began opening my door without waiting for a response. And then once inside, she permitted one of the males that was with her to take pictures of my bedroom. So I want to say 2 weeks after that, I received another notice of a routine inspection. And on that day, I emailed the complex and the manager, letting them know that what occurred during the first inspection was a violation of my privacy and that they didn't have permission to access my unit. Unit. And on that day, they arrived anyway, and this time it was a different manager, and she arrived with two other male individuals. And when I asked her what the purpose of the inspection was, she told me that she couldn't tell me that.
Hi. Can I help you?
Yeah, we put the notice on your door. I'm in the office, and we put the notice on your door that we were doing an inspection today.
Okay, well, I informed the manager that you guys don't have permission to enter my home. You came, what was it, 3 weeks ago for an inspection, and so this time
They
you're coming
also
for.
came.
So this time you're coming for what?
An inspection.
What is the inspection for?
I don't have that exact
You don't have
answer
the
for you.
information, but you want to come in and inspect. So
Okay.
what is the inspection for?
Should we go to the next one? Okay, that's fine, thank you.
So less than 2 weeks after that, I received a text message of another inspection that was set to take place on August 5th and 6th. And the text stated, "Our representatives will knock at your door first. Please open. If no answer is received, our staff will access the unit. Be prepared." So when I received this text message, I emailed the manager of the complex asking if that message came from them and reminding her that they did not have permission to access my unit. And she responded back telling me that she had no knowledge of this text message being sent from the complex. So I called 911 to again report the threats of assault that I've been receiving and this harassment as far as them repeatedly trying to access my apartment. So when I called 911, another deputy from the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office responded. And when he responded, we spoke to the manager or one of the managers of the complex. So he confirmed with the manager that this text message did not come from them, but he stated that he would not take a report and that there would be no investigation because the text message could have come from an apartment complex that I used to live at, and there was a clause in my leasing contract that permitted the apartment complex to access my unit. Now, obviously, that doesn't make sense to have confirmation that this text message did not come from the apartment complex and then to come back and say that they have permission to enter a residence unit.
Do you have any insight on?
No, not. Let me call the manager
Okay.
because the email that Charity sent just basically, I'm sure she explained to you that she got this text. And so the manager responded back to the email saying, let me check with my regional to see if the text, like sometimes the system will send out group text.
Right.
So let me just give the manager.
So we haven't confirmed that, right?
Yeah, we have not confirmed that.
What she stated was that she has no knowledge of this text message, and that normally if you guys were coming to do an inspection, they would post a notice, these notices on the door.
I'm gonna put you on
Right.
speaker
She said.
because Ms. Phillips, yeah, she's in the office with the sheriff in regards to the text message that she received yesterday. So he just has some questions that he would like for you to answer for. Okay.
So the police report, okay, is any type of documentation the police do that you have documentation of, you get a case number. I'm gonna give you that case number.
Okay.
Now, as far as further investigation after this, that's not gonna occur. So with that being said, it's documented. which is
Okay,
what
well,
you
that's
want.
fine. That's what I expect
Okay.
because usually when they send police, they don't normally do their job and investigate. Now, I've said that things have been stolen from the apartment.
Mhm.
People have broken in, and
But there's
your
no evidence of
response.
that.
So the evidence is the stolen property.
You're saying one pair of underwear and
Yeah.
two power cords you
Which-
moved in a month ago.
Yeah, that's.
You don't think you might have misplaced those items?
No,
Oh, I'm just
absolutely-
asking. I'm not-
Absolutely not.
Okay.
So you're not investigating. You're now interrogating
Let me ask you a question.
Well,
okay?
no, second. You're now interrogating me As far as if I could have lost those items, no. And in
Simply
addition
asking.
to that,
Interrogation and asking a question are two totally different things. We're getting off topic.
in addition,
Bottom line, that's what I'm doing today.
okay, but in addition to that, the food that has been tampered with, these are things that are ongoing.
You said
Yes.
tampered. The only thing you told me is that you found food in your hair.
Hair,
I'm sorry, ma'am. I cannot do anything about that.
okay, so you're piecing things and just isolating them instead of looking at the entire picture. When I moved in here and I told them they did not have permission to access my unit, and now they're stating that this text message that you received stating that we're gonna come in if you don't answer didn't come from us. So that's a problem. That's
Okay.
harassment.
But after reading that text message, that is not the definition of harassment.
So harassment is to be continually bullied.
And
So
I'm
if
not
I tell
supposed to
you-
know what harassment is.
If
What
I
I'm trying to
tell you
is-
that you don't have permission to access my unit and you say okay, and that's verified via email, and then you send text messages and then say we have no idea where that came from. They're telling you that it didn't come from them, and you're still
I'm
stating,
not going to be able to verify
Right.
where that text message came from.
sir, but that's what an investigation is for. You just said that there will be no investigation.
Correct.
Right. So
There will be no further follow-up.
I'll
with this.
take the report number, the
Okay.
case number.
All right. I'll back a little bit to talk to you now.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
So this harassment is being participated in by the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office, and they are refusing to investigate because they are aware of and they are participate in the trafficking and the recruitment of women. Those who are recruited to participate in the harassment taunt those who are targets of the harassment. So in 2020, I lived with a roommate, and she told me that she was going out of town and that she was giving her keys to someone to come in to feed her cats. And she said that I shouldn't be scared if I saw someone. And I texted her back and told her that I was uncomfortable due to the things that was happening to me. The same type of harassment was happening back then that's happening now. So I told her that I was not comfortable with anyone being in the apartment while she's not there, and that the person needed to knock. And she stated, they can knock, but how are you going to hear it? So this is how the acts of violence are carried out against the women that are recruited into the harassment while they are sleeping. So I mentioned in my last video that in the lawsuit that I filed against the complex that I live in, that their representative admitted in court to the unauthorized entry and stated that he didn't need my permission or consent to enter. Now he said this after making reference to the reports, the police reports that I made concerning the battery and assault against me. So the people who are recruited to participate in the harassment are being protected by law enforcement in the sense that they can openly state what they're doing and not have any consequences for their behavior. So each time that I've made or tried to make a report of the harassment or acts of violence against me, either no report was taken or no investigation resulted. So the organizers of the harassment try to build a record against you so that it appears that you are not sane.
Again, along with the case number. Alright, everything we talked about is going to be documented on that. Alright.
But I have a written statement.
Yeah, I can collect that. Alright, well, do you have any more questions for us? Just keep your door locked, alright?
So this has occurred not just where I'm currently living, but at other places that I've lived at. So this is stalking and organized harassment, and they only permit you to live in places where they can continue the harassment.
You're going home, correct? At some point, and you're going to go to sleep, and whatever happens, when it happens.
So you're telling me that I should wait for this to happen again to give you guys a call back instead
Correct,
of
absolutely.
you guys doing something right now?
Correct.
So I'll let you guys know about the pattern of retaliation after speaking up or making a complaint. So I posted the video talking about the lawsuit that I filed against my complex last month on the 28th. The next day, one of their representatives posted a notice on my door of non-renewal. So the pattern to keep me unstable and dependent on family and friends has repeated itself. So the organizers of the harassment don't want me to be independent. They want me dependent so that they can continue to carry out their purposes against me. So it was necessary to install these security cameras because there are government officials who are watching and have been tasked with oversight but are refusing to step in and stop the harassment. So they're aware that I'm being harassed and blacklisted, but they're not doing their jobs in preventing the harassers from continuing the harassment. So again, it was necessary to install the security cameras, but even when I have proof that someone has been in my apartment, the organizers of the harassment alter the footage in order to hide the evidence. So for example, they'll put still images in the places that they want covered up. And in one of the reports, a law enforcement officer wrote that it was me who stated that law enforcement were the ones that was altering my footage. Now, I didn't state that, but this is a form of gaslighting. This is them hiding in the open. So they openly state what they're doing in an attempt to communicate the message that they are above the law. So law enforcement and government officials are participating in the harassment and harassing other people and then blaming it on me. And they do this in an attempt to try to force me to join in with the harassment. And because I don't, they communicate messages that this harassment will continue until death. So they want you in a constant state of frustration, and this is in order to cause you to react in a negative manner. So in my case, the harassment has reached the point where the harassers take control of my accounts. They change my logins. They take control of my computer. They slow it down. They customize websites. So I'm going to spend some time showing you guys what I deal with on a daily basis, just to show you the level that the harassment has reached.
So I'm staying at 4 Point Sheridan, which is supposed to be a Marriott hotel, and the phone is not working. As you can see, the lights aren't even on, and it's plugged in. And I called them about this issue, and it's still not fixed. And even the door doesn't even have a lock on it.
So the purpose of this slander and harassment campaign that is against me is so that the government can justify having control over me. So if you are deemed a threat to yourself or others, that gives the state grounds to have you committed or to take other measures against you. So in my case, they say that I'm a little girl, or they say that I have a disability or some other type of deficiency that would justify them having control over me. None of it is true, but they need a justification for their blacklisting and harassment against you. So in my last video, I let you guys know that I graduated law school in May of last year, and that I took Florida's bar exam in July, and that I passed the academic portion, but the character and fitness investigation is still pending. Now, this investigation has been going on for 2 years, since March of 2020, and the formal hearing still hasn't taken place. And they use slander in order to justify prolonging the investigation process. So they provided a list of character flaws that would prevent me from being an effective attorney. And one of the flaws that they listed was that I don't follow instructions. And an example that they gave of me not following instructions was the fact that I didn't submit to the mental health evaluation required or requested by Stetson within the 10-day time frame that they requested it. So this excuse was given by the Florida bar in an attempt to justify their failure to issue my law license, and it lacks merit. Now, if you are unfamiliar with why I was placed on the leave of absence at Stetson, you can check out the second video that I posted, and that'll provide you with the details. But if you are familiar with why I was placed on the leave of absence at Stetson, then you understand why me and anyone else in my position would have been justified in refusing to provide the mental health evaluation. It was clearly retaliatory in nature. So I knew that the aim of them requesting this evaluation was exclusion from the study of law and an attempt to force me to drop my formal complaint. In their response after I submitted the evaluation confirmed that. So the doctor and mental health evaluator confirmed that I'm not a threat to myself or others, and they recommended my return to law school, and they still refused to reinstate me. So this was not an issue of me failing to follow instructions. This was me refusing to blindly follow instructions that was meant to cause me to drop my complaint. So the Florida bar members who are assigned to investigate my character and fitness are fully aware that I possess the character and fitness to be an effective attorney, but they are participating in the blacklisting campaign by scraping together reasons that would prevent me from being an effective attorney. It's obvious that they are intentionally prolonging the investigation process by refusing to schedule the formal hearing. So they know that I'm qualified to be an attorney, but they're hoping that the harassment reaches a point where I'll either compromise or I can't defend myself. So the area of employment is just one of the many areas that the organizers of the harassment attack, because it's how people support themselves. And in my case, it has continually been attacked. So as I mentioned earlier, they want me dependent so that they can continue to carry out their purposes against me. So in my next video, I'll let you guys know about my housing situation, and then also about the other methods of harassment or the technology used by the organizers of the harassment. So until the next video, you guys take care.